what is the purpose of like the pyramids of Giza?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah. So the Great Pyramid is a power generation system, or it was. When the energy shot out of the apex, the magnetized crystal granite obelisk would capture that ambient energy. And if you had something called a JED, you can connect that JED with a wire, which we have pictures of the hieroglyphs of them doing this, to light bulbs and electroplating devices and everything else, and you can power tools. So you had power tools, power lighting capability through ambient energy, the same technique that Nikola Tesla used to build the Wardenclyffe Tower that was eventually, he lost the funding from JP Morgan. And then the bent pyramid is not bent because it was an accident. They got the angle wrong. That's baloney. The bent pyramid was told to me by one of my mentors, who was a homegrown Egyptologist that passed away a couple years ago, unfortunately, bless his soul. It's a diagnostics tool. And so inside the bent pyramid, which I've climbed all the way to the apex from the inside. Have you been to the inside, gone all the way to the top?
I haven't visited the bent pyramid.
Okay.
I've only been to Giza.
When you get into the top and you look over, you get to see down to this other, I guess you want to call it a room. And in that area, he said, if somebody was sick or injured, they would be brought into this one chamber, which I've climbed into. I took 140 people in there in groups. There's another area that would be full of water. And then they would gong this stone and it would create this resonance that would vibrate throughout all the different other chambers. And the person at top, they call him the priest, he would look over and he would see almost like an x-ray of the person's body. I know it sounds fanciful, but that's what was said. If you look at the bent pyramid and you look at the pyramid of the sun, side by side, it's the same exact structure.
The bent pyramid and the pyramid
of the sun in Teotihuacan, Mexico.
Got it.
Right? Very similar shape.
Yeah.
So the shape isn't an accident.
It's not the exact same, but I hear what you're saying.
The angle, the change of the angle, the look, the feel of it, you kind of get the idea.
Now, the argument for the one in Teotihuacan is they're going to say that this would create the most structural integrity. Whereas the bent pyramid, I think that they say that they were using like mud blocks, right? And didn't
those stones are limestone, and this
in the
thing
bent pyramid?
Yeah.
My understanding was that it was kind of collapsing under its own weight.
No,
or something like that.
The bent. I'm doing a whole show on this.
I believe. Yeah.
The bent pyramid, you see those areas on the corner that are dark and all kind of chewed up? When you go up right on them, you notice that they're actually burnt. They're charred. And then there's a debris field coming off of the corner down into where the sand is. And I have some of the samples that we've had looked at, those samples of charred stone, burnt stone. And what's going to burn and char that stone and create these explosions? There's another area around the other side where a huge piece of it's been blown off. You can see that it's hit and it's blown out, not collapsing. And so what would make that amount of debris fly that far away from the pyramid? If something collapses, it falls straight down.
Yeah.
This stuff goes up and out. And you can kind of calculate the trajectory. You go, oh man, something impacted this. A projectile impacted this pyramid. So it's another remnant of an ancient war, in my opinion, that same war that I told you about earlier. But the pyramid is like that by design.
So you're saying that these pyramids were power systems?
Not all of them. This one was supposed to be, according to my source, a diagnostics tool.
But the Great Pyramid of Giza was a power system.
Power plant, yes.
I've heard this before.
And there's been books written about this by engineers.
Yeah, and how would it function as a power plant?
Well, it functions well, like I said, running water underneath granite creates physiostatic electricity.
Yeah.
In the area that you walked up, that grand gallery, there's these slots on the side.
Okay.
And we estimate, or we hypothesize, that there were rods in those sections. They call them resonating rods.
Okay.
And that would step up the energy going into the king's chamber. And then from there was some type of fusion that would happen. If you notice that a stone box inside the king's chamber has a big chunk missing off of it, and if you look across directly to the wall, 20 feet away, you can see where that chunk that flew off impacted the wall and created the shape of that broken piece. How can you break rose granite and send it that distance and crash into another piece of granite and have it break into that piece? So we know that there was an explosion in there, okay?
Yeah.
So evidence of an explosion. It's a power generator. Now the queen, what I was talking about earlier, the queen's chamber, water would flow into that. And Christopher Dunn, when I interviewed him the other day, after all these years of me talking about this, I had no idea he had the same hypothesis. This guy is a real engineer. The water would go down there, and through electrolysis, they would extract hydrogen atoms from the water.
Okay.
So if you take a battery, like a 9-volt battery, put it in a glass of water, you'll start seeing bubbles.
Okay.
That's the hydrogen coming out of the water.
Okay.
You're extracting, it's that easy to do. It's not hard. I'm
Right.
trying to make the point, like it's not like real science. It's simple. You just need to understand positive and negative volts. Anyway, but why hydrogen? The shafts of the pyramid, those open shafts, they align with star systems. They align with Orion, Aldebaran, Sirius star system, right? All these different star systems on different alignments, on the different precession of the equinoxes. What communication method do we use right now, like at SETI and in modern technology, astrophysics, to try to communicate with ET? We transmit information on the hydrogen frequency because it's the most abundant frequency in the universe. So in my opinion, this is my own hypothesis now. See, I always tell you the difference between text and my hypothesis. On those alignments, we would transmit information to those star systems, updates on our breakaway civilization, to our other.
So they were not using it as a power system.
They use it as both. It's a multifunctional stone computer and a power generator.
So it's a power generator for, Egypt, whatever they were doing. Okay. And then it's also a communication device for other galaxies.
Correct. That's my personal opinion. Other star systems, not galaxies.
Sorry, other star systems.
Yeah, right.
Well, isn't a galaxy a star system?
Well, our Milky Way galaxy has trillions of star systems inside of it. So,
got it.
Yeah. And there's
Got it.
trillions
The
and trillions of
galaxy has the star systems, and each star system, we are within one star system. Got it.
And how is the Ark of the Covenant related to this?
Well, when the Great Pyramid, for some reason, stopped producing enough power, they took the Ark of the Covenant and they created that rose granite box inside the King's Chamber, and they put it inside of there.
What is the Ark of the Covenant?
It's a power generating technology. How do we know this? Because
But what is it? What do people think it is? I've heard the Ark of the Covenant.
I think it's this holy thing that existed that, just protected the Hebrews and protected them from the Pharaoh. It's a lot more than that. When you begin to read even the biblical text, you discover it was technology. The person that handled it had to have on rubber boots, right? It's electric. You had to have on special rubber gloves. You had to have on these breastplates to help diffract some of the radiation that was coming out of it. And if you didn't have that stuff on and you touched it, you die instantly. People thought it was holy and magical. No, it's just technology. You're getting shocked to death.
Right.
Now, the descriptions of this thing, sending out lightning bolts and all this stuff and vibrations and buzzes, it's electrical. So some scientists at a university in America reproduced it utilizing the same instructions in the biblical text.
Reproduce what?
The Ark of the Covenant. And guess what? It generated so much power they had to shut it down. And anyone can Google that, look up the experiment and watch the videos on YouTube of them doing it. It's real. It was technology. And that's what was inside of the stone box. How do I know? It's the same exact dimensions as the Ark of the Covenant. And that's what happened when Moses, AKA probably Akhenaten, I think it was really the person, fled Egypt. He had, it wasn't slaves building the pyramids, by the way. Take the slave thing out of your mind. There was no slaves building pyramids. Didn't happen. People were building and working on the pyramids because they were honoring the gods. There were no Hebrew slaves in Egypt building pyramids. Nowhere does it even say that. There's records of the payroll and even the medical expenses to help people out who got injured or hurt at the job site, at the temples. And that stuff is in the museums. It's all documented. So it's not just me saying that. But Akhenaten started bringing in the one God religion, the monotheistic religion. He's the first one to bring that in. We're gonna worship the great Amen, Amen-Ra. He started telling his people to go around and deface all the other gods, erase them from history, chisel them all away. That's why when you go to Egypt, you see all those chiseled faces away, all the noses broken off and all that. It's not because, I hate to say it, but it's a fact. It's not because white people didn't want to know that, let us know that black people were in Egypt. That's not true. I'm going to tell you what it is. It's not true. I've been there long enough to know, and I know enough history to know when the white people actually arrived there, these things were broken before
they even got there.
Yeah. So there's enough noses that still exist, by the way, that are on display that tell you, well, wait a minute, if these are just as old and these still have noses, then these never got beat up. But anyway, the point is, he then took these people and created his own following, his own cult following. They all wanted to worship one God. And Amen said, there'll be no other God but me because I'm a jealous God. That made it into the Bible, right? And he then decides to take his people, because now the politics are like, we got to get this guy out of here. He's destroying our history. He says, okay, I'll leave. I'm taking my people with me. He goes into the Great Pyramid and takes the Ark of the Covenant with him and takes that out into the desert. This is why he had to chase him down. You just lift it up and take it out. As long as you have the boots on, I mean, it's clear instructions on how to do it.
Oh, I thought it was like enclosed.
No, it's not enclosed.
Okay.
It's just like a lift up thing with 2 handles on each side.
Oh, okay.
They took it out of the king's chamber. The new pharaoh said, man, that's our power source.
So it was justified to chase him.
Yeah, like if he takes that, we lose all. We're going back into the Stone Ages.
Yeah.
That's the power source.
Go
We
get
got to
him.
get this guy now.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. The power source.
Oh, wow. But he ended up getting away with it.
He got away with it. Yeah. With that one, there were a few more. There were 2 more Arks of the Covenant, but they didn't have one.
Who had him?
Well, there was one in China and one in Mesoamerica.
What did they make with it in China?
Nobody knows. Yeah. You know, they got 3 pyramids in China that match the same Orion alignment as the Great Pyramids and the alignment that we have at Giza on the Giza Plateau.
Can you bring that up?
Yeah, bring up the China pyramids aligned with Orion.
So who were the group of people that built the pyramids?
These were the Atlantean people. Yeah, they had humans working on the pyramids because I mean, you know, if I own a construction company and then I have a master architect, underneath then I have a foreman, underneath them then I have the workers. You see? So that's how it is. So the workers are doing work under the tutelage and utilizing tools in the way that we have taught them, but at the end of the day, it's the master blueprint coming from one master architect. There you go. China's on the left right there. The Xi'an pyramids.
They're called the what?
The Xi'an, Xian. You see those 3? They're perfectly aligned with Orion. The next one is the Teotihuacan, perfectly aligned with Orion. And the third one, obviously, is the pyramids of Egypt, perfectly aligned with Orion as well. So, one master architect.
Now, a traditional mainstream scientist would look at this and go, of course, we're going to align these structures with the 3 brightest stars in the galaxy, right?
Yeah.
And if there was nothing to read back then, there was nothing to watch, there's no TikTok, there's no Instagram, the coolest thing going on is the night sky.
Right.
And when you look up in the night sky, you start making shit out. Oh, that's Orion's belt. This is a whale. This is a giraffe, whatever it is. Okay, so that's what the traditional mainstream
Correct.
Philosopher or scientist would say. Can we see the just pictures of the pyramids not aligned, just like face on? I never knew that there are these pyramids in China.
It's hard to get
access to them.
It's hard to get access to the face on lot, because China doesn't want them out. They don't even let people visit them. There's one.
Why is that?
They're keeping them sacred. You see, there goes one there. They've got it nicely covered with some nice trees.
Yeah, did they plant these trees?
It looks like
they planted them. Yeah, they covered them with dirt and planted trees on top of them.
And why do they want to plant? Why do they want to cover this? What benefit would that be?
They just don't want people to know that
there's an advanced civilization.
Yeah, exactly. The more cover up, more.
The Chinese pyramids and the pole star. Yeah. Is that's not beneath the pyramids, is it?
No, that's a different area right there. He's looking at the
so the terracotta warriors.
The terracotta warriors. Yeah, that's totally different. But yeah,
Wow,
a lot of incredible stuff there in China.
Whoa.
But yeah, they got the pyramids too. Now, the alignment is extremely hard to do. So that alignment happens on a precessional period. So you're talking about a massive span of time. You're talking about it has to align every, depending on the precession, every 13, 14,000 years, right? So all of a sudden, you look at the Younger Dryas era, where we had a mass extinction level event happen right above Syria and just decimated that whole region and down even into Asia. Not the perfect time to be building a pyramid complex. So you got to go back another precessional period to get the right alignment to make sure it works. And you have to build it to that where it aligns with these stars show up right over the pyramids on a specific time. So now we're going back 36,000 years, the same age as the Great Pyramid, the same age as the Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
Whoa. Can you tell us about the, not Göbekli Tepe, but there's another ancient structure right near there that you had talked about?
Derinkuyu?
I think so.
Yeah. Derinkuyu is an amazing underground city.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them, correct. And this one was discovered by a farmer. And when they opened it up and went down there, it can hold up to 30,000 people going down 12 stories deep into the ground.
To the water level.
Yes. And even areas for worshiping and cattle.
Livestock
and all of that. No sign of any collapse. 14,000 ventilation shafts leading to the highest levels to bring oxygen to the people at the deepest level.
And what is your
That's advanced
hypothesis?
technology, because when you have a ventilation shaft this wide, an inch or two wide, cutting through solid stone down 12 stories, what kind of tool can do that?
Yeah, that's interesting.
How do we
Why
do
would
that?
they build it though? Why would they want to live underground?
Good question. All the cultures around the world, all the indigenous cultures have the same story. At some point, there was a disaster. It's not known if it was war or geological. It's not known.
So geological would be comets or something like
Right.
that, and war would obviously just be
Yeah.
a neighboring tribe.
Right.
Yeah.
So these people called the Ant people took them underground. The Lakota tribe, the Hopi tribe, the Aboriginals, the people of Egypt also. And go to the Cairo Museum, you see the Ant people depicted there. They took them to underground chambers. And then, of course, the people in Turkey, same story. They were taken underground. This structure was built to keep them alive, not by them, by the gods. Pretty interesting.
And why would the gods just stop whatever was going on?
We're talking about some people with big egos. It was always, I'm the best. I'm better than you. I got the most resources. At one point, how the war happened, when they came to this planet, they were forbidden to touch the wmds, the weapons of mass destruction. This was his tablet, weapons of mass destruction. They stole some from Nibiru and brought them here and hid them in a mountain. But they swore that they would never use them. But then, of course, some of the relatives discovered them years later and decided to go get those weapons and use them, which created the evil wind on Earth, which started killing a lot of people. And then that's when they said, well, Enki went to his father, Anu, and said, can you stop the evil wind? And he goes, no, I can't. So get in your skyship and forebode. That means get the hell out of here.
Is there a part of you that's like so much of this isn't proven?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a part of you that goes, man, one day I might, one day, we're all going to pass and you might not know what really happened, what's really going on in the world.
It's a
And
fact.
does that frustrate you? Have you accepted that these things just can't be proven? Like how do you,
I see it like this. I'm planting seeds for trees that are going to grow that I'll never sit in the shade of.
wow. And you're okay with that?
I'm okay with that. I've done my part. In the grand scale of things, in this incarnation, I feel like I've done my part.
Do you ever wish that you would get a sign from these advanced beings, from these cultures that exist in different galaxies or solar systems?
In 1977, when we moved to Miami and Opelika, we lived next to the Opelika airport. I was outside in my backyard. This is how I got into all this. I was watching the planes go over my house in the backyard because it always intrigued me. How can the plane be going so slow, but I know it's got to be going fast to stay in the air? Then this day, this thing came across and cleared the horizon in seconds, not minutes. And it was a glowing, not a full-size cigar, not really an egg, but kind of in between, metal, glowing metal. And it went across and then it stopped and it came back and hovered above me and was gone again. I went running in the house. I told my mom, oh my God, I can't believe what I just saw. It didn't have a wing, fuselage, none of that stuff. I knew what an airplane looked like as a kid. And I went to my library the next day at my elementary school, Rainbow Park Elementary in Opelika, which is still there. And I told my teacher I have to get the encyclopedia, the old Google. And I went and got all the aerospace information and started researching swept wing, delta wing, intercontinental ballistic, all the different types of submarines. I looked for anything that I could see for what I saw in the sky. I never found it. But that's what led me down this whole rabbit hole, the discovery. I became a kind of a quasi-aerospace historian, and that led me, eventually technology led me into ancient civilizations.